Today I want to talk about, for this video podcast, the Pythagorean Theorem. Pythagorean Theorem. It's probably the most famous theorem in all of mathematics. The Pythagorean Theorem is a geometric idea that if you have a right triangle, if and only if you have a right triangle, it only works if a right triangle is a triangle that has in one of its corners a right angle. There has to be a right angle in one of the corners for this to work. It's a relationship between those sides of the right triangle. The relationship is this, that if I have one side, we'll call it A, another side we call it B, and a third side, which is always the side that's opposite the right angle, so opposite, on the opposite side of the right angle, C, there's a relationship that says A squared, if I add A squared, the length of A squared, plus B square it, it's going to equal C squared. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. How does that work? I'll give you an example. So if I were to have a right triangle, we'll have another right triangle here. Right triangles can be drawn in any way. We'll say the length of this bottom's a right triangle, and it always has to be a right triangle or else it will not work. If the bottom, let's say this is 3, and the side over here is 4, what is this third side? So I can say that, taking my formula, my Pythagorean theorem, right here, I'm going to plug in 3 squared plus 4 squared equals something. We don't know what it is, so we'll call it C squared. So 3 squared is 9, plus 4 squared is 16, equals C squared. 9 plus 16, we'll draw our magic line like we did last year in geometry class. 9 plus 16 is 25, equals C squared. We want to get C not to be C squared, we just want it to be C, so I'm going to take the square root of 25 and the square root of C squared. That leaves me with, the square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of C squared is just C all by itself. So 5 is equal to C, so I know that this is equal to 5. So there's my triangle. I know the length is 3, 4, and then the longest side, side C, is 5. Something else I want to point out, that these have, A and B have special names. A and B are called legs. They're the legs of a right triangle. And C is called the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. It's a really fancy name for a simple idea. It's just always the longest side of a right triangle. The longest side of a right triangle. And we always know where it's at because it's always across from the right angle. So there it is. That's the Pythagorean theorem. Remember that it always has to have a right triangle. A and B have to be the the legs of the right triangle. C always has to be the hypotenuse. And the algebra part of that is that, I get it all in there. Oops. Is that A squared plus B squared equals C squared.